Shut up and sit down.
Alright guys, and welcome to Big Mac's Workshop and Paint Studio. I'm Dodge, and it's Thursday, so that means it's tutorial week, and this week's video was sponsored and paid for by Bill, one of our Patreons, who sent us the money to buy a box of Screamers. Never painted these before, should be interesting. He wants us to do a red one in blue, and then one where I just let my imagination go crazy, so keep an eye out for that because that's going to be ridiculously brightly coloured. Now I started this Screamer using the Vallejo black primer, and it's pretty much the same technique I use for doing my Blood Angels. Then I used German red-brown Vallejo primer. Didn't cover the entire thing, I want a little bit of that black showing through, so water down this primer a little bit and spray only on the parts where you're going to want the highlights. Leave those shadows in the recesses. And again, I'm still using that new airbrush, the Steinbach Eclipse, and really enjoying it. It doesn't like primer very much though, so I'm going to fix up one of the old Neo-Eye waters and start using that for priming. The next colour was a German dark yellow, which was another Vallejo primer. This is going to go back on those highlights, but try and stay in control of it a little bit more. Because you don't want to go over all the red that you've just done. You want a transition that goes from black to red to German yellow, which is a bit of an odd colour to put on as a highlight, I know, but I got this colour from someone from Daka. It was their paint scheme, and if you ever end up watching this guy, thanks for that paint scheme. Everyone really likes it and it's done us really well, so credit to you. I will see if I can find your name, or if you see this video pop up, and you know, let us know. The next colour, I decided to separate the face and the tail by using Bubbleman's Glow by Games Workshop. Now in hindsight I should have done this after I did the next red colour, because the other red reacted a bit odd with it and made it really bright. Bill really wanted me to do a dark blue. Then we're using... No, we're still using Rakoff Flesh there, sorry. No, sorry, it's Bubbleman's Glow, and then we're going to highlight that with Rakoff Flesh. Should pay more attention to my paint notes and write them out better. But on the plus side, there's only one page of paint notes this time instead of like 3. So you should be able to get through these pretty fast. And batch painting these would be really easy, kind of fun with the airbrush. Although they can be time consuming if you want to put in all those details. We're just going to highlight the face and the tail with the Rakoff Flesh, sorry. Now this is red by Model Air, 71.102. This is watered down and it's generally sprayed just to cover the yellow, but because of the way the airbrush works, you're going to get some overspray on the black and the other red. That's going to make a underneath transition, so it's going to transcend from black to a nice vibrant red. Now we're going to use Repla Flesh Shade by Games Workshop to go over all the Repla Flesh parts. We're going to pull that back with the Lamiate Medium as well, and blend the face and the skin together, because we don't want a solid divide, because it's a natural looking thing. It's not like doing armour, its colours would blend together ever so slightly around those edges. I'm going to completely cover the underneath with an unwatered down Repla Flesh shade and let that set. That's going to get dry brushed again later. Most people get lazy, they don't bother doing the underneath, but I guarantee you these things will fall off the stand at some point, so you may as well do the underneath because someone's going to end up seeing them. Now it's Carabert Crimson and Lamiate Medium, because I wasn't happy with how bright the centre part was and I wanted to darken that down. So starting from the top of the highlight and pulling the shade down into that recessed bit. Again, we're going to do the Repla Flesh shade from where we left off, but we're starting halfway up with a Lamiate Medium. This will blend from Rakoff Flesh to Repla Flesh shade and a bit further, just keep doing it in layers, and then we're going to go from halfway up the tail to like a quarter of the way up making it darker and darker towards the end. And again, back to the Racquard Flesh with a small Games Workshop dry brush, and we're going to dry brush that underneath. After you've given that a dry brush, that underneath's pretty much done. I wouldn't go any further on that really, not unless you're doing something for a display model or something. As you can see, I left this bit a little bit longer because I wanted to show you the look we've got on both sides there. You've got the side that I've been dry brushing, and the other side you can really tell the difference. So even though the wash went on pretty splodgy and fast, the dry brush is going to finish that off for us and make it look neat. Now for bone, on the teeth, we were going to start with a brighter colour, but I thought there's a lot on the red palette, so I went for a dryad bark rather than a morning fang or something else that's a bit more red. Because we want to complement the other colours rather than contrast with it at this point. Just take your time. I'm just using a small layer brush by Games Workshop, starting where the teeth meet the gums and pulling down from there most of the time. I've not edited a video in this manner before, but I started doing these parts then showing a little bit extra. See, this is Zandri dust, but it's done in a glazing technique, so it's watered down almost like a wash. And we're going to pull from where we want it darkest to where we want it lightest, so most of the pigment piles up on the end of the teeth. That's going to take a few layers if you want to do it properly. I think I used about 4 or 5 different layers, and it still wasn't 100% smooth, but that's not a problem because once you give it a wash, you can wash that down and it will start to blend together. But before that, we've got some other colours to put on. Could have done it with the airbrush, but I wanted to show some other techniques for a change, instead of just airbrushing everything. Well, the next colour is a Shabti Bone, and I'm using a Winsor Newton because I want to stay in control of this paint this time. I'm using the same technique, smaller brush, and starting about halfway down those teeth, pulling towards the edges. That is very time consuming, and I do apologise for my hand being in the way. Trying to do small detail works on camera, it's never easy. Although I did manage to get some decent footage of the eyes this time, which makes a change. As you can see, that transition's starting to come along nicely. Just takes a lot of layers and a bit of time and patience. You always want to thin your paints down, guys. Don't try and just, here's this colour, I'm going to put that on, it's on, because then you're just going to, all people are going to see is a big wad of paint. And like I said, we finally got some eyes on camera, which was a bit different. And this is Caliban Green by Games Workshop. And I'm using a Winsor Newton Series 7, but that's just my preference. I really do love that brush, the bristles respond really well. They're great for doing detailed work. I believe Winsor Newton do a 000 as well, which would be insanely small. And after the Caliban Green, we're going to use Warboss Green by Games Workshop. This is watered down, so I ended up putting on a couple of layers to smooth this out. Because you don't want one green and then a big blob of another green. The eyes are going to be a smooth transition, they're going to look glazy. So we're basically pulling from the recesses of the eyes into the centre where you want most of the pigment. Then after that, we're going to use Elysian Green and basically just going over the top of the eye, but in between the eyelid and the eye. You want to leave a gap for the shade. So you got eyelid, a gap for the dark bit, and then over the top after the dark bit, a line of Elysian Green to highlight those eyes properly, give them some life. See, because we're using greens against the reds, they clash slightly, but they also complement. I think it's a decent colour scheme. It's probably my favourite one so far for these Screamer videos. Then it's just an Agraxa shade wash there with Lamiate Medium. And yep, that went on a bit strong, but I'll fix it in a minute with the brush. I tend to do that quite a bit. I put a large amount on a flat surface and then just use that as a palette while I spread it everywhere else. saves going back and forth, especially on videos. As you can see, all those bits of patchy transition now are nice and smooth. And to finish the tongue, we did a Tzeentch grey by Games Workshop. It wasn't difficult doing the tongue, and most of the attention's now brought to the eyes and the teeth, but I wasn't going to miss it out. And after that, we're going to highlight it with the Tzeentch grey. And sorry about the focus there and the camera work, but once we've done the footage, it's done. It's not like I can go back and repaint it for the sake of shooting the video, so I apologise for that terrible bit of camera work there. And if you've watched this video all the way through, leave a thanks to Bill in the comments, hit that subscribe, and share our videos with all your friends. If you like all our videos, consider becoming one of our patrons on Patreon. That helps out our studio a lot, enabling us to bring you even more videos, and get you stuff like this that Bill commissioned for us and paid for this video. There'll be a bunch of social media stuff popping up behind me or on the screen, and I'll see you in next week's video, guys. You take care. Bye.